Today we're going to take a look at the HTC Aria from AT&T. It is the second Android phone from AT&T. It's a very small phone, as you can see. Fits really nice in the palm of a hand. Very thin. If you'll notice, it's got a nice, smooth, rubberized backing. It's not going to hang on to your fingerprints. It's got a pretty stylish look, just a couple screws in the video camera. And just very basic. You've got your volume controls here. You've got your mini USB, which is the charger and data transfer port. You have the optical mouse, a home button, menu button, a back button, and a search button. And those all light up in a second when I start this up. Let's just take a quick look at the sizing. This is a standard iPhone 3G, and side by side you can see that the iPhone is substantially larger than the HTC, and you can fit it inside of an iPhone. It's got a little bit more girth in every direction, and as you can see from the iPhone, there are a lot of fingerprints all over the phone. The glossy surface is not very good for that. So let's turn this thing on and take a look inside. Now the first thing you'll notice is HTC is very proud of this phone. You'll see the HTC logo one way, and in a minute it'll turn to another way, and you get two doses of the HTC, and then AT&T chimes in with theirs. And here's the second HTC and the 3G. So let's take a quick look at the specs. This is an Android 2.1 phone. It has a capacitive touchscreen, 3.2 inches, has integrated GPS, a 5 megapixel camera, a video camera, speakerphone. The micro SD card can go up to 32 gigabytes, so you can put quite a bit on this phone. And it has Bluetooth 2.1, and interestingly enough, they mentioned that it is hearing aid compatible. It's a spec that I haven't really noticed before on a phone. It has an FM radio, MP3 player, and email syncing features. And the talk time is up to 6 hours according to the stats, and 15.5 days on standby is their current maximum, but I'm not sure that this phone would make it that far. One thing I've noticed in charging it today is it actually charges very slow, and it took me more than half an hour just to get the power as high as it currently is. So to open it up, you just swipe down the lock. You've got your basic phone features right here, the dial pad, your address book. You can get rid of the dial pad anytime you want, and you can scroll through your list. Something about the optical mouse, though, is pretty interesting, because if you don't want to get your fingerprints all over the phone, you just can scroll your finger across, and when you're in a list with a vertical menu, you can also scroll up and down. You don't just have to go side to side. As I showed already, here's the home, the menu, a back button, and a search. You have your Android slider right here, and again I'll show you the up and down now with the optical. But when I'm going through a menu in Android, I like to get to where I'm going. So I like the fast sliding feature. There are things, this is how you add anything to your desktop that you want. You've got folders, shortcuts, programs. It's pretty standard Android fare. What I like a lot about this phone is when you push a button, you get the feedback. There's a small vibration and a bit of a pushback, and you're able to tell that you've actually pushed a button. There are folder apps. You can put a bunch of games in or whatever you would like, and it doesn't take it from anywhere else, so it just kind of stores a copy. So I can have all of these apps in one folder, and I can drag them into another folder and I wouldn't lose them. I think that's a pretty cool feature, because if you have multiple people using the phone, then they're all going to want their own folders and you don't have to keep downloading apps or making copies. So all in all, this phone is it's pretty solid. I think there's a lot of good features on it. Let's take a look at, this is kind of a blown up view of all the different screens that you can scroll through. As you see, we have a couple of blanks, but you can kind of get an idea all in one of where your apps are. And if we click on here, we can check out the Android market. You've got your standard marketplace right here. You can look for paid apps or free apps. You look for games or apps or specific AT&T stuff. You have a rotating list of popular apps to choose from, and they install really easily. When you look through the settings, there's a number of ways you can personalize things, including the personalized button. You can create scenes, and scenes is actually something I think is pretty interesting, because based on one of the available choices here, or you can start with this clean slate choice, AT&T, HTC, social, work, play, travel, you can set up a whole set of features, from the wallpaper to various sounds to the apps that are available, and you can just switch from one to another pretty easily. So for play, obviously you would fill it up with a bunch of games. For work, you might do some connectivity stuff, some syncing software, and for social, you'll probably throw in Facebook, Hootsuite, or whatever you want to use for Twitter, and any other app like that, probably Google Friend Connect, I would say, considering it's a Google phone. And you can see there's just a number of features available. We've downloaded some, but a lot of them came with the phone, like the camera, the camcorder, there's messaging, the web browser. Now, something I wanted to show you really quick about the web browser, and it's actually any app that you'll need to type in, but it's kind of convenient in this particular instance. So you'll see the basic the web browser right here, and I'm going to turn it, and instantly I've got a landscape view. I can go right back into portrait just that fast. Now in the iPhone 3G, or at least the one that I've had access to, this doesn't work as consistently as the HTC does. So I'm actually very happy with this rotation feature. So let's go and stick this in Google where it belongs, because AT&T likes to take you to Yahoo lately. And every button I've pushed, I've felt feedback for. And with this horizontal screen, I can push all the buttons fairly accurately. And now we're going to google.com and getting out of Yahoo. Alright, now if I switch back, you'll see just as quickly, right back to the portrait mode. Now the camera is kind of interesting. With the zoom feature, you can, well, the message that just flashed was that if I push the optical zoom button, that's how I can take a picture. But you've got this little plus and minus button. You push that, and then here's my zoom. You slide this top bar, and I thought that was a pretty cool feature. And so far the pictures that are taken are pretty decent. And again, I mentioned that there was a 5 megapixel camera. So this isn't the top of the line device. The Samsung Captivate and a number of the other HTC phones even outshine it by quite a bit. But considering this is one of the only Android phones on AT&T, this is residing at the top of the list. So it's a pretty small phone, fits in your hand. You can do it all one-handed if you'd like. If you have your messaging list, you can pull down and see if you've got voicemail, email. If you've just installed an app, you can close that pretty easily. And yeah, that's about it. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask, and I definitely recommend you take a look at this phone. If you're holding off for a better one, great, but if you just wanted to replace your iPhone, or if you're just getting into Android, I think this is a great starter device. Again, this is the HTC Aria.